Welcome to belated Berardi and Coke. My name's Carl. Jay's there in the background, fucking around with something or other. We're going to welcome him on board here now. All right, Jay, how's it going?
This is what we're going to call technical difficulties. So I'm just going to play what I was going to play, and we're going to pretend none of this happened.
It's Ayling. It's Rodrigo on the run. Mings was strong initially, but Rodrigo's picked up the pieces here and finds Dan James, who finds the corner. And Leeds United score first at Villa Park. It's a third goal this season for Dan James, and didn't he finish it impressively?
Absolutely brilliant from Dan James, and he just picked the pocket, didn't it, Rodrigo, of Tyrone Mings. But I think Leeds have struggled this season with being clinical in front of goal, and Dan James, what a finish that is.
That's it. The show must go on.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
Sweet. All right, how's it
going? Let's do this. Well? Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know what that intro was going to be like. I expected the song after it, but we didn't get that, so here we go.
Right. We've got Don Matteo having the laugh there at the start, so it's all good.
Don Matteo. Yeah. He's better than any fucking song. What a guy.
Yeah.
So, how are you doing, Carl? We both went to the game, you and I, although we didn't manage to meet up, and as we've said, it's probably for the best, seeing the state you've been in since. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing a lot better than I was the last 2 days. Yeah, yesterday anyway. That's 100% fact. And I wasn't fit for public consumption yesterday, so that's why we're doing it tonight. But yeah, I'm fully recovered now, and even went to the driving range a little while ago, so it's all right.
It's good to know. It's good to know. So, yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, so I met up with friend of the pod, Mad Adam, earlier for a quick pint after fixing his car for him, because I'm a master of all trades. I'm brilliant. And he said to me, Ayling's finished. Llorente's shit, and Harrison was crap, I think he said. So I've told him to tune in tonight, so he's probably watching. But
what a dick!
No. We love Mad Adam's mad opinions. That's his thing. I mean, I said to him tonight. I said it was very strange because, as a team, it was possibly our best performance all season, but there were some bad individual performances.
Right, yeah.
I don't think Dallas had a great game. I don't think Ayling had a great game, but, you know, who's going to against Coutinho? So, for me, there's a bit of leeway there.
Yeah.
When it comes to Llorente, I think he does make some errors sometimes defensively, but I also think he's so good at carrying the ball forward and picking a pass and stuff. I think he's really important to us in that sense. So there were bits of what Adam said I could kind of agree with, but on the other hand, there were bits where I want completely with that. I felt that overall we did a really good job. And as I say, there were some performances from individuals that weren't great. And it was such a mixed bag of a game because I remember sort of, you know what it's like at away games. You're never going to get to the seat that's on your ticket. You just go wherever, don't you? And I just ended up stood next to this random bloke after being sent in the opposite direction by 2 different stewards initially. And I got in right as the first goal went in because typical Jay, I set off walking down and left my ticket in the car. So I had to run back. I was chatting to a Villa fan as well on the way down, and they were all right, to be fair. He said, I like Leeds, you know, proper club. Sort of thing we say about them, really. Proper old school, proper club. I had to run back, get the ticket, so that I'm watching the first few minutes on my phone. Managed to miss the goal completely, but just got in just as everyone went fucking nuts. So I just joined in, you know, because I was just happy we'd scored regardless. And then I went and got in my place and settled down a bit. And I just remember that, like, we seemed good at the start and we were full of energy and it's what we wanted to see. We wanted to come out of the blocks like that. But I'll never forget 3-1 down. I was stood there, face like fucking thunder, and I was thinking, fucking done it again. Here we go. Here we go again. And it felt like the game had gone at that point. So to get back to where we got from there, I'm not going to kick off and say, oh, we shouldn't be losing leads, blah, blah, blah. We know we're not top side at this moment in time. It's going to happen. And, getting ourselves ahead like that gives us a fighting chance in any game. And I think that was so important in the end. And, yeah, I mean, I was so proud by the end. Like, what a thrilling game. Do you know what I mean? It was one of them games. By the time it finished, we were gutted we'd not won.
Yeah, that's the thing.
3-1 down, we were thinking, Jesus Christ. What do you think, Carl? What are your thoughts on it?
Like, I thought we played, like you said, there reasonably well up until their first goal. But again, we when you look at their first goal, it was a good pass into Coutinho, and like he gave Dan James scored pretty much the same kind of goal as Coutinho did. And we wouldn't have expected Dan James to score that goal. But if you put Coutinho in that position, it's only going in one spot, and it's going in that corner that he put it in. And you have it like
class.
He was absolutely unreal. Like, you can't take that away from their performance. Like the through ball he put in for that young lad as well that was playing for them in midfield.
Yeah,
it was absolutely incredible. Like there's only a handful of players who see that pass. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, one of them plays in Castellón now at the moment. Like, and but
God rest his soul.
What do you mean, God rest him? He's fucking alive and kicking, man. Jesus Christ, he's not with O'Leary in the grave, right? But I thought, like, once the second goal went in for them, I don't know. I don't think our heads dropped, but the urgency wasn't there like it was when they got the first goal. I think when they got their first goal, it kind of opened up the game a little bit more. We were very much on the front foot until they got their first goal, I think.
Yeah, we were.
To say that Rafinha had his quietest game for Leeds that I've seen in the year and a half. I wouldn't say it was awful. He just didn't have any. He just didn't have a good game. Like,
it just seems so off the pace.
Yeah, but like
and you look frustrated.
You're saying he was awful, but for him to be awful, he was still in the game, just not to the standard we're expecting. So
I know.
I don't think that's awful.
It did come alive a bit.
Like,
it came alive a bit near the end, and like when there was sort of maybe 20 minutes left, he sort of started getting involved, and he was starting to put balls in and stuff. And but then there was still the one where he overran it when it went out, and we were expecting him to get a cross in, and he fluffed that completely. He just wasn't there. He wasn't at the races.
Well, he'd just been married as well. Like, maybe he was just bone dry, and that was no testosterone left in him at all. Like,
maybe,
but
maybe he regretted it.
Jesus Christ. I don't think he regrets getting married. Like, have you seen his wife? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I have actually, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think he regrets that one bit. I think he only regrets getting on the bus down to Villa and not staying in the gaff with her. No, like to say we were poor for maybe about 25 minutes, maybe in the whole game, I could say that would have been the amount of time where we underperformed and we didn't hit them on, the press as much as we should have in that 25 minutes. Like, because like they scored in the 26th minute, they got another 2 then after that. You know what I mean? And it was like to get one before half time, I think that was vital.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If we didn't get that before half time. And like as well, we need to also remember Dan James rattled the crossbar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That were a right shot.
Yeah, and Tyrone Mings
keeper had no on that.
No, not a sausage. But then Tyrone Mings cleared one off the line as well. Like, so, if you look at those,
for the only good thing he did all night for them.
For them, yeah, he assisted us.
They were
more
great
than
for us.
Them, like, but when you look at stuff like that and you look at the performance on top of it, look, I thought Click played one of his better games last night. I thought he was very on the ball, and I think Cock is actually growing into that holding midfield role that Calvin plays. Now, I think personally I'd have probably brought on Fawshaw at some point a lot sooner. Just when we got back to 3-2, and we're pressing hard with maybe 25 minutes to go, he'd have been the man to bring on and just start pushing players forward. Because, like we discussed, a while ago when Gilly asked me about whether I felt that the defense was a problem because we're not able to, play it out without Calvin there, and I mentioned that the defending for Bielsa starts from the front, and if we lose it in midfield, that's where we get caught because we're pressing pretty high up. And I feel if we had Forshaw on there last night, I think there's that confidence in him that the forward players have, where they're like, right, okay, I know he's going to cover every blade of grass because he's going to put that tackle in if the ball goes missing, And I think if you have that kind of stability and reassurance behind you, you're more likely to push on and try and get that goal or just have, like it could even be something as simple as, a couple of quick one-touch passes. But we were taking one touch, taking another, and then playing it. Whereas it was it was like they were looking for the reassurance that there was players around to cover if the ball went missing. But if you've got Forshaw there just sitting behind them, even in that Calvin role, I think that the confidence in the forward players then definitely increases, and we would have then probably pushed on. And you saw it, like when he did come on, like that was one of our best spells of pressure as well in the final 8 minutes, the injury time, So it just goes to show. But like,
I mean, they had 10 men at that point, but
but again, like that doesn't really matter. It's harder to play against 10 men than it is 11. Sometimes.
That's true because they go so defensive and
exactly,
so compact and tight. It's very hard to break down 10 men.
And the way we play, like we play through the lines as much as out wide as well. And when you've got a 10-man wall where the back four are basically only 10 yards behind the midfield when we're attacking, it leaves your options very, very limited. But to say that we did try and break them down, it showed a lot of character considering we went 3-1 down at one point to get back to where we were.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it makes such a massive difference when you can rely on a cat to turn up on somebody behind you. Because like one of the things that I was saying earlier when I was chatting to Adam is, our man-for-man system is so good going forward, but it leaves us so vulnerable in defence. Yeah. And the thing that I noticed most against Villa was the fact that every time somebody came through the middle, nobody goes to them. Nobody will leave another man to come and tackle them. Nobody will come to them because they stay with the player that Bielsa's told them to stay with. Yeah. So people get a free ride running straight through the middle of the park with us. And more often than not, that results in somebody getting into our box. And there were a point last night at 3-1 where I started to think every time they get in the box, they're going to score here.
You know what? I didn't think that as much last night as I did previous games that we played. But I just thought, like, for their second goal, or was their third? I think it was their second, where Luke Ayling came charging out. Coutinho had the ball facing his own goal. All he did was just turned left.
Him. Yeah.
He just turned left.
And he went straight past him, didn't he? Went for a hot dog.
But again, that's Ayling had to follow him out there to try and cover what the space you've just talked about. Yeah. But then he got turned so easily, he may as well have just stayed in defence and had an extra man back there anyway. I think sometimes that's where Bielsa's system can be a bit flawed.
Also, Carl, like when you're looking at that is a very stark comparison between a true world-class player and a player who's playing well beyond what anybody ever thought he was capable of.
Yeah. Like, I don't think, like I've mentioned before that, Ayling's getting on, like, you know what I mean? But when he's played in a position that he's meant to be played in, like right back, I think there's no better player that we have at the moment that's going to do that job. But
when I'm looking at our team and like where we need to rebuild and strengthen, right back's not one for me.
Well, we've got look at Drama. Look at the goal he created for Cardiff. There was a Tuesday night or something.
I don't know if he's ever coming back, but we'll see. But
he's proven
I suppose it's more urgent now if Drama doesn't come back. But when Ayling's fit, like no one else is going to play there. So to me, that's not a priority area because we do have people who can cover, although they're not on his level. But to me, I still think he's a great right back. And like you say, that's his position. And when he plays in centre back, you don't only lose what he does at right back, but you also get somebody at centre back who isn't a natural centre back, and he's just doing his best. And it means you lose 2 positions for me.
And you also get left with that giant gaping hole at the back when he thinks he's still playing right back, and
when he goes
forward,
off,
and you're like, "Whoa, hold on a second, no man, you're centre back today." Like, you know what I mean? But you know, like he did.
Marcelo needs to get him a shot collar.
I don't know about that, but he did start he did start as a centre back at Arsenal. Like, so it's not an unfamiliar position to him, and I think that's why Bielsa has the confidence to play him in there. It's just he's got this in his head after 3.5, 4 years of Bielsa, that he has to just, as soon as he gets the ball, there's the space, that's where I need to go. But when you're centre back, don't fucking do it. Give it to someone else to do it. Like, you know. But look, we've got the utility man in Stuart Dallas there. That's more than capable of doing a job in defence if we need it. We have. And we've, you know, Shackleton's shown he can do a job there as well. And you know, we're not desperate
by him there, but yeah.
I said he could do a job. I didn't say he was England material. Like, but you know, I think for the first time in a long time, the one position that we're not really kind of looking at to try and improve is anywhere along the back. You know, maybe another left back just to cover Firpo, because.
But again, if we brought a left back in, it would be a cover. It wouldn't be to get in as first choice. Like as you say, for the first time in a long time, our first choice back four is established and settled. Yeah. I would say.
Well,
the only thing is, if Cooper comes back, does he go back in or not? And that's not a debate I want to get into. So
yeah, well, I be honest with you, I think I'd like to think anyway, by the time the World Cup comes around, that, you know, Stuart might have some squad number in the Dutch squad. You know, I think he's vastly.
He has
improved.
To choose whether he wants to play for them or not. Yeah, still.
Well, whoever he chooses, they're going to have an absolutely smashing centre back, and to say he's only 22. He just had an incredible match there. He was, when there was attacks from corners or free kicks, he was on the end of them. He was causing havoc in there when we were attacking, and he was very solid when we were defending. Like, overall,
I mean, people call him Dracula, but he ain't scared of crosses, that lad. So
that definitely not. Like, so.
Evening, Bremner's Ghost.
Cheddar. All right, Bremner's Ghost. How's it going? So yeah, I think. Overall, I think the performance of the lads was absolutely sound. To say we went 3-1 down and showed fight to look like we were going to win it in the final few minutes shows a lot of character, and I think that's not. I think that might only be maybe the third or fourth time we've actually scored 3 goals in a game this season.
Yeah. And that was the main thing for me, Cal.
Yeah,
of course he will. He'll be on you. That was the main thing for me: the fight, the resilience, the fact that we went in at half time, and although getting a goal when we did does help, you know, you're still 3-2 down against Villa, and every time Coutinho gets the ball, it's looking like you're going to end up conceding. And we still went out and we fought, and those lads have got fire in the belly now, and I think there's more of a belief in that squad now than there was maybe 4 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, like you yourself playing football, when your best players are injured, you're thinking, oh, shit. So those lads must have worried that they couldn't do it without Calvin, without Bamford. But they're now proving to themselves and to us that they can. Yeah. And, you know, Villa aren't the best side in the world, but I think everybody would have said this was going to be a very hard game, and we'd have done well to get anything out of it. So... You know, coming out with a point like that, I'm not disappointed. And that, you know what I'm like. I want to win every game. I'm tunnel vision, but I'm not disappointed with that. They're a good side. They're doing well. They're getting better and better every week with Gerrard. He's done a great job there so far. Yeah. And you can't fault the effort from the lads. The fact they kept going, they saw it through. They didn't crumble. They didn't think, oh, we're at an away ground. We're 3-1 down. We might as well give up. They fought like dogs, you know, and they got us a result, and I'm proud of them for that, and it was really good to see.
I think a lot of the performance tonight has to do with how well Koch played in that holding role tonight. he like I know.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you just quickly. Sorry, Carl, because you've reminded me of something I was going to say before. I don't think I'm out of line in saying that Koch is now better in that role than Ben White ever was.
Oh yeah, I think so. But I don't think Ben White played as often in that role or for such a sustained period of time either. Like so. To be fair, if Ben White did play in that position for a period of time, like Koch has had the opportunity now with Calvin being out, I think he could have grown into it pretty much in the same manner as Koch has started to now. Like, but you do have a point. Like, he wasn't as good, but again, it just because he didn't have the time in that. Like, how many games is that now? Koch played in that position. That must be nearly 6 games on the clock, maybe in that
like
position.
That, yeah,
so,
something like that.
Like since he's come back,
we're not even thinking about him at centre back at the moment, are we?
No, but that's the thing. Like since he's come back from injury, he's been the one playing in there. If Forshaw's not been, injured, but he's always started. Like so,
and that's also mad. Like he was out for a while, and we thought, when are we going to see Koch again?
Yeah.
And suddenly he's back, and he's like, touch wood, been rock solid, and he's been all right.
A lot of fucking innuendos in there, like. I tried to hold it together for as long as I could there, like, but there was just not fucking happening. Between solid as a rock and fucking good to see it back in there. It was like, what the? Come on, you're killing me here.
I wondered how long it'd take you to crack.
Oh, stop now. I was just sitting there, I was like, just stop it, man. Just stop it.
He likes to get in those tight holes. Anyway.
Yeah. In tight positions.
Bremner's Ghost says, I'd love to know what Marcelo said at half time. I'm imagining he said, Vamos, fucking get out there and do it.
Well, apparently he doesn't say an awful lot at half time. He lets whoever the captain is.
Really?
Apparently so, yeah.
Do you think he just stands there glaring at them when they're doing badly, just glaring? He doesn't say a word.
Well, from what I know, what I've heard, it's the coaches that point out what needed to improve, and then they let the players discuss it amongst themselves. I think that's a great way to go about it because it's the players that need to take responsibility for how they're performing.
It is, but you also need somebody like a controlling influence over the top of that to say, that's enough now. Right, you lot have said what you said, so this is what I think.
Yeah.
I think like leaving him to it, because you could descend into just massive arguments between the squad if you left it at that.
I don't think that would ever be the case within that dressing room. When someone's saying something, they've been through so much together now at this stage. Mentally, they're all in it together. Like there's nothing I don't think they could say to each other regarding their performance at halftime or anything like that would offend anyone, because they all seem to be very honest and they all seem to be able to take the criticism. Like we saw it there that the season we went up where Luke Ayling came out at full time after the Forest game and he said it like it is. He didn't candy code for anybody. Now, if you're telling me that Luke Ayling's going to come on TV and say that, but he's not going to say it in the dressing room, then I think you're mad. Like, because the professional footballers, they have feelings. Yes, they do. But they know when they're fucked up.
It's 2022. Come on.
Yeah, they have a standard that they've set themselves over the last 4 years, and if anyone slips, they call them out in it. Like, you know what I mean?
And I think that's good for the club that people will call people out if standards slip, because that means everyone maintains a level. Do you think Cooper's in there having a word as captain still? I'd like to think he would be, even though he's injured.
It's hard to tell because, we know now from watching Leeds over the last few years that the dressing room is one of them places where what gets said in there gets said and it's left in the dressing room. But I don't know if Cooper would be the type to, he's not involved at the moment so much. I don't think he'd be the type. I think he's more. I think it could go for any of them, to be fair. I don't think any of them that would be injured or out at the moment would be going into the dressing room and saying their bit, because there's nothing that they can affect the game with. Like, anything that they could affect the game with, they could say in the corridor while they're walking onto the pitch, be like, just sort that out and smash him and do this and do that. But, it's the 11 or 16 players that are on the bench or in the starting 11. I'd imagine they're the only ones that would be having the chat within the dressing room, you know.
On a related note, you've reminded me. Did you hear about Newcastle allegedly having a kickoff in the tunnel?
I think I heard something. I'm not quite sure.
I posted this in the group chat the other day, but
yeah.
A friend of mine who's a Newcastle fan, so he won't spread stuff just that's damaging just because. But what he said in a group chat I've got, I'm going to read this out. So this is allegedly, we don't know, but apparently after the Newcastle game, Dele Alli had a go at Joe Linton in the tunnel, so he put him on his ass. Welcome to Newcastle. Chris Wood tried to calm the situation down, and then Dele Alli had to go at him, so Chris Wood put him on his ass again. So apparently Dele Alli got put on his ass twice after trying to kick off. So, I'm just glad we don't have that going on at our club.
But this is the thing, like, if he was available and he was the type of mentally prepared player to come into the environment that Marcelo sets out, he didn't show it in that incident, if that is actually the case.
Mate, you won't last 2 minutes at Leeds with that attitude.
No. Like
we've got a proper brotherhood at Leeds now. It's a proper togetherness. We're a family.
Yeah, you don't.
Families argue, but you don't kick off like that. Especially not when you just walked in.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Who do you think it is to walk into a club and kick off?
Yeah,
if it's true, obviously.
If it's true, obviously, yeah. But like, I genuinely don't think, him. He wouldn't have fit in. And I know there's fans online on Twitter and stuff that are sickened we didn't get them and this and that, and it's like, well, it just already he's played one game and he's shown exactly what the fuck. He gets knocked down, he gets up again, he'll never keep it. Come here. We need to find out if that story is true, because that's a chance we play Spurs then, isn't it?
But you do suspect that stuff like that will probably be kept covered up as much as possible by the club, because it's not the kind of thing you want out, is it?
Yeah, well, it's
just Newcastle being Newcastle. It's just Dyer and Bowyer all over again. It's what they do.
At least they were proper ballers, like, you know what I mean? But
yeah, exactly.
But look, this isn't a Newcastle fucking fan TV type thing, so let's just carry on talking about Leeds for another few minutes anyway.
And if we're going to do that, then we should talk about how fucking good were Dan James.
This is exactly what I was going to get onto till you fucking interrupted me. But anyway,
sorry, mate, I like doing
that's
that.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'd like to go and have a chat about Rodrigo for a few minutes, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Simply because there's been a lot of people I've seen on Twitter that said he didn't have a great game.
I saw that. What game were they watching?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't got a fucking clue what game they were watching. He played the most forward attacking balls in advanced areas than any player on the pitch. I think it was like 5 or 6. He created 2 of the goals with his balls in. He was constantly on the run. I thought in that 10 role that he's trying his best to get it, I thought that was his best game at 10.
Yeah, there were times night before. There were times of a night where, like, I remember, like, it was because he was kind of just sort of in front of where we were at one point, but he was literally trying to take that game by the scruff of the neck, and he was trying to drag other players up with him, and he was saying, "Come on," he were in there, he was stuck in, and that's what I want to see from our players. And he did all that, and I don't understand people having a go at him.
I don't get the hate. I know people say he's 27 million, he should be a striker, he should be putting the ball in the net.
27 million is just an half decent player in this day and age. It's not the be all and end all of transfer fees, is it?
See, you're right, but I would my counter argument to that would be, look at how many games he played up front last year and look at how many goals he scored. Like, how many games did he play up front last year towards the end of the season, and he got, like 6 goals in 8 games or something like that?
He had that run, and it was his best run in a Leeds shirt.
But you put him up front, and he clearly knows where the back of the net is. So you can't criticize the man if he's played out of position further back than when he's meant to go. Like, and it's
Absolutely.
not right to give him grief. Like, I think he's.
That's the thing. You can
criticize.
He's not that great there, but don't criticize him because he's obviously giving his all. Like, I get it. I've moaned about him. I've said fucking hell, he was shit today. But I don't hold that against him personally because he's a player being asked to do a job in a different position and he's doing it to the best of his ability. And I don't hold that against him. I may question that as a tactical decision, but I don't hold that against Rodrigo. He gives his all when he goes on the pitch. Yeah. It just, some games come across better than others.
The only thing I would have a moan about Rodrigo is when he does play up front, his pressing game isn't to the standard of Bamford's. And I think that's why Bielsa's more inclined to maybe play James up top when Bamford's not there, because you've got the calm side of Rodrigo behind James, but you've got James with the absolute monster press that he puts on players.
Mate, the way he chases down the keeper is unreal.
Like, unless Rodrigo's going to do that, he's not going to play up front while Bamford's out. It's as simple as that. Like, but if he's growing into the 10 role that he's looks like he's been played in, or that's where he's wanted to, then why not do that? Like, even like there's pressure on him to score in the 10 role. Don't get me wrong. What we need is a new Lee Chapman for 400k.
We ain't getting that, are we?
You ain't getting that, man. You won't even get Akinbaye or whatever his name is, Fenway or whatever for 400k now. But
do you think, Carl, that like James is doing what Bielsa wanted Nketiah to do?
Yeah, of course he is, man. Why do you think Bielsa wanted James in the first place? Why do you think he wanted him so bad? Like,
it's the pace that he wanted, and the fact that he's got ability, obviously. Because we could have kept Adisako otherwise.
But look at Scum now, right? They don't have that out ball anymore now. They're absolutely shafted. Like, you won't see any of their players making the runs that James was making for them and now making for us. But the runs he's making for us now are actual purposeful runs.
Mate,
they're not just headless chickens.
That stupid that they've kept fucking Fred and McTominay and sent other midfielders out on loan. Do you know what I mean?
Go,
Wreck-It Ralph. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but when you utilize players well, then good.
Evening, Smarty.
But when you utilize a player with the pace and like, I know how old is James now? He's what, 24, 23, 24?
Like that, yeah. 23, 24, yeah.
He's got a decade left in him, but he's also got he's got a good 8 years left to the highest level and playing at that standard, because he's learning under one of the best coaches in the world now, and that's only going to benefit him. Like,
and the development of him is case in point of why Bielsa is one of the best coaches in the world. Like, he has progressed so far to me compared to what he was when he came in already, and he's only going to get better. And you can't knock that, can you? For me, it just shows you there in black and white how good a coach Marcelo Bielsa is.
Well, yeah, I think that was proven when he got us promoted, really. Like, you know what I mean? But just on one other note, just before we start to wind down, if their player, I can't remember his name, scumbag anyway, elbowed Meslier in the head.
We're going to come to that next. Was it Conter or something?
God knows, man.
I forgot his name now.
Tin pot fucker.
It was something like that.
Do you think would he have got sent off directly for that if he hadn't been already on a yellow card?
I feel like he should have been.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was violent conduct. Because he just went in with the elbow. Like, there was no else going to happen there other than he went with the elbow.
The ball, like,
so,
and he's just walked by him and elbowed him. So in my opinion, that'd be a straight red. Like, but
there's a massive difference to jumping up in front of a keeper when he takes a goal kick to whacking him with your elbow.
Yeah.
One's violent conduct and one's chancing it. And I know which one that was. To me, it was a red card.
Oh, it's definitely the right decision. Like, without a doubt, the right decision. But
I mean, Gerrard must have gone mental. Because what was the point of that?
Well, like, Gerrard came out and said that totally screwed his last 8 minutes, because he was going to bring on Danny Ings instead of
so he did us a massive favour then.
Yeah. So it essentially fucked their game plan for them. Well, for Gerrard, like so.
I would like to give a special mention to Buendia, who had multiple tantrums, kicked his boot off at one point, and even Ollie Watkins came over and grabbed him. Do you remember? Ollie Watkins grabbed him and said, "Fucking get up and stop fucking about." Even Ollie Watkins had enough of him. Do you know what I mean?
Like, he's awful bad. Like, man, I don't know if he'd last in under Bielsa carrying on like that.
No chance. That's why we didn't sign him in the end. Smarty saying, did you see the Martinelli red card last night? 2 yellows straight after each other, 2 separate fouls. I didn't see it, but I've read about it. And from what I've heard, 2 separate incidents, regardless of how close together they were. And the ref had every right under the rules to do what he did. So,
well, he played on.
Martin Keown, upset about it. Big surprise.
Yeah, well, sure. We won't get into that because he's still upset that we hit him with a football at the Emirates that time in the FA Cup.
That's right.
So
Which is a nice little segue there, Carl, because I asked Don Matteo about that, didn't I, when we saw him the other night, when we went to the launch of the new Pundit game, which you will have seen on the main pod. We had Aidan on from Pundit Games. Cracking game, actually. We had a good time, didn't we?
Really good crack. Yeah.
Really good. Really good sort of social thing, like testing your football knowledge against your friends and sort of trying to, when you're searching for an answer, and you're like, I know who that is, I know who it is. You know,
and you can time waste in it as well, which is very football realistic. You know what I mean?
And as we saw with those old blokes, they started getting frustrated after we'd been thinking for 5 minutes. But speaking of Don Matteo, who was an absolute legend on the night, you had a little word with him, didn't you, and got an interview with him?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. No, he's a nice old chap. I think we're going to be letting that known there now in a little while. So keep your.
I think it's going out around sort of 9 or 9:30 tonight. That so just keep an eye on Twitter and you will find that. And it was a good interview as well. And as much as I would have liked to have done it, Carl, a bit jealous, you know, it were great. And I especially like the bit where he said about where his parents were from. I'm not gonna. Just the bit where you and him were just like, "You're joking, aren't you?"
Yeah, it was funny, man.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, it's good old crack now, man. He's got Mark Viduka coming over as well on the 11th of March for the night.
Birthday.
There you go. If anyone wants to maybe check that out and grab a ticket for that, I'm sure you'd be delighted to have a word with Mark Viduka as well. Like so.
Absolutely, and Dom's events are run well, and he's such a sound guy. It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. And do you know what? He had no but time for us. Can't fault him at all.
Yeah, he was a great laugh. Very down to earth, very solid guy. And sure, just tell us what you think of the interview if you get a chance to listen to it later.
I do have a tiny bit of breaking news.
Okay.
Smarty and with negativity, as usual. Listen, mate, if you want an experience, you got to pay for it. I don't want to hear it. So, our very own Emily Render has been nominated for the Yorkshire Choice Awards.
Oh, well done, Render. That's
get on there
stuff.
And give her a vote.
Is there a link that we can post on
There is a link, yeah. There is. It's just been put in the group chat, so I had time to pull it up, but I wanted to give her a mention while we're on.
Excellent stuff. Well done, Render, man.
Bloody brilliant work, does Emily.
She designed that little chap up there in the corner.
That's right.
There, somewhere over there.
And we wouldn't be where we are without him.
Tell you.
Hey, receiving hate mail and Twitter hate, and, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think we were going to do a little sort of Everton preview, but nothing's really changed other than we've been told Firpo's not available. So I'm expecting the same team again. And I am now missing my nephew's boxing match because I was supposed to be there at 8. So I'm going to wrap this up, Carl.
Whose fault is that, Jay?
Mate, I'm not blaming anyone other than Mad Adam. But, you know, we are where we are. We've got a public to please, and here we are. Putting these people first because we're the people's pod.
Sweet.
Right, I'll wrap it up there. We're not expecting anything different for Everton. I think we're going to go and beat the shit out of them. What do you think?
Oh, hold on. Yeah, I am not predicting ever again. Don't try and rope me into that one.
You're not even going to say whether you think we're going to win.
No, because I fucked up the last time, didn't I? I
Jesus
said 3-1 against Newcastle and we lost. So I'm
tell you
fucking
what, Cal,
keeping
you're
my
hard
mouth
work.
shut now.
Bremner's ghost knows. Same score that I called on the pod. He knows. Smart is still complaining about price of tickets. And I tell you what, for richest man in Dewsbury, or wherever he lives, you know, it's too much for me that hearing him complain about ticket prices. Right. So on that note, it's been a bit chaotic, but it's been awesome. You've been great, Carl. You guys in the comments have been great. I've had a good time. Hope everyone's enjoyed it, and we shall see you next week for the main pod.
Absolutely.
Adios, folks. If I can find the outro.